Hi everyone. Today we're gonna work on creating a TikTok logo without any specific tools. We're gonna use the very basic tool of Illustrator. I'm gonna show you how you can create a similar logo as a TikTok logo. The only kind of the intention of this tutorial is just learning the basic tools, and there's no intention to creating a commercial logo of TikTok. So in order to start, we need have a reference. So you can just search for a logo that you want to create and just drag and drop it to the Illustrator. In this point, I have my reference here, right here, and as you can see, it is a raster image. Before we start, this window on the left side shows the key that I'm using, the short key that I'm using on keyboard. This is for Command, Option, Control, and Shift. You can see when I'm holding the Command key on keyboard, it's lights up, so you can just see what my keyboard stroke on the screen. So let's start. First of all, let's check outline mode. As you can see, the image that I have here is raster, so there is no vector part in that, and I'm not going to use any other tools other than basic tools and basic shapes. So first of all, let's bring our reference image to the center of my artboard and get it started. I'm using the command 0 to make my artboard full screen and zooming in. So before we start, I want to make sure that I'm not moving this reference around by mistake. So let's lock this layer. So I'm going to just clicking here next to this icon to make this layer lock. So right now I cannot move that. And I need to create a new layer on top to work on my own design. So the technique that we're going to use for this is using mostly the stroke and basic line in order to create those shapes. One of the things that you can notice in this logo is there are two identical shapes in this design, and if I create one of those, I can just copy that and create the second one. So let's start to creating the first one. In order to create the first one, I need to figure it out what is the center line of this design. So I can show you with the brush tool. I'm looking for figuring out this line here. Sorry for the stroke of my mouse, it's so crazy, but that's what I'm looking for. So how I can kind of figure it out. The kind of the easiest way to figuring out what is the center of this shape alongside this kind of the thickness is using the basic shape again. I'm going to use the rectangle tool, and I'm going to zoom in, command the spacebar, and dragging mouse to the right and left to zoom in and zoom out with holding the left key. And I'm going to create one rectangle here. So it's a stroke. I'm going to create fill color and remove the stroke, and I'm adding some exciting color to that. Okay. So right now I have it. It's almost the size of this shape. I need to create more of this kind of rectangle because I need to have one here to show me what is the size and what is the position of the circle at the same time. So I'm going to copy that here. So there are a few ways that you can copy an object in Illustrator. The first one that you already know is Command C and Command V. By the way, if you are using a PC, instead of Command, just switch it to the Control. So Command C, Command V, copy. And as you can see, when you copy something with Command C and Command V, the Illustrator automatically juxtapose the new copy right on the center of your view. Not center of the artboard, just center of your view. So if I might change my view, Ctrl C, Command V, you see that's kind of sitting here. The other way that you can do, there are, if you wanted to have your copy just clone and sits right on top of the reference shape, you can just use Command C and Command Shift V. And right now my copy is sitting right on the top of the first reference image shape. And the other things that I can use is not using the Command C and Command V and using just the mouse and holding the Option key. In majority of the Adobe software, the holding option, turn your selection tool to the copy tool. So I'm gonna hold the option key and drag this and create a copy. So right now I'm gonna put this straight. Consider this is a center of the circle, almost right here. I'm gonna figure it out, but right now seems okay. And I need two horizontal rectangle here and here. So I'm gonna make a new copy here. But this vertical, I wanted to have this horizontal. There are two ways that you can do that. Right click, go to transfer, rotate, and rotate it 90 degree, and you have it. But the easiest way that you can do that, instead of going through that process, if you select the shape, go to the corner outside of the shape, you see this form rotate kind of icon shows up at the corner instead of my mouse pointer. So I'm gonna just rotate it. Hold on. Okay, just rotate it, and it shows a degree. And if you wanted to have kind of exactly sharp 90 degree, you can just hold the shift key and it's gonna rotate with the 45 degree increments. So I'm gonna put this here and make a copy and put this here. Okay, so right now I have some rectangles, but I don't know how I can figure it out. The center line, I know this line goes from this side and goes right from the center of this rectangle, goes here all the way here. So in order to identify all of those, kind of indicate those kind of center line, I can use guides in Illustrator. Guides are super useful. So the things that I can do is, if you cannot see the guides around your document, you can use the shortcut Command R. Command R make the guides around your document visible and invisible. I make it visible and go and grab a guide. So you can kind of create a new guides by adding numbers and creating a new guides, view guides and make guides. And the other things that you can do is actually grabbing, just dragging and bringing one new guides to your artboard. This is much easier. So just dragging, going to the center of the rectangle, it kind of snaps there, just leave it there. And I need two for this one and this one, but those two are horizontal. You can either grab one from top rulers and put it here, or you can just grab the vertical guide and hold the option key and make it horizontal. So it's up to you. So right now I have my guides and it seems okay. So right now I know the circle should be, this line should be start from here to here, this line goes from here all the way around to here. So the other things that I need to do is, if I select this guide, I can move it around, and I don't want to do that. So I need to lock the guides as well. So the way that you can do that, you can go to view, guides, and lock the guides. So right now I cannot select any of those. So let's get rid of these rectangles because I don't need them anymore. And now I'm gonna create this shape. For this area, in this area, I'm going to use the ellipse tool to create perfect circle. The ellipse tool is actually create a circle, and if you hold the shift key, it's going to create the perfect circle. And in Illustrator, if you hold the shift key and the option key, it's going to increase the size of the shape from the center. And if you just hold the shift key, it's going to just hold the proportion and create a perfect circle. So in this case, it doesn't really matter that where we can start, because we're going to move it and kind of adjust the position of the circle, but we definitely need a perfect circle for this area and this area. So I'm going to start from here. I need to hold the shift key and my circle should touch all of these guides. So I have my first shape. For this one, I have these two guides, but I don't know how big it should be, because in this one, I know this circle should sit between these two, but should say between these two, but in this one I don't have other guide. So but one thing that I do know, this part is 1/4 of my circle, so I just need to make a circle that the 1/4 of that circle should be exactly the same size of this shape. So let's start. So I'm holding the shift key, doesn't matter where I started, just make sure that your circle is perfect. So I need to make it bigger. I go to the corner and hold the shift key to keep the proportion, and I wanted to make sure that a quarter of my circle is almost the size that I need. Seems okay. So right now everything looks good. I just wanted to kind of remove the excessive part of each of these circles and then connect them and use the stroke. So let's make both shape as a stroke to have a better kind of idea. I need to kind of remove this excessive part. Just bear with me. I'm gonna remove this blackness too. You guys can see this keyboard stroke here. So I'm going to remove the excessive part. One point that is very important when you're playing with this shape and you wanted to remove some part, there are few ways that you can remove points and path on shape. So I'm going to grab the pen tool. If I select a shape and go over one of the points, you see that there is a minus sign shows up on the mouse pointer. So it means that it's going to remove that point. And if you go over the other area that there is no point, it became as plus sign. It means that it's going to add points. In this case, I want to remove this point. But if I remove that, you can see that it just removed the point, but it keeps the path going from this point, the other points to the other point. So it just removed the points, but I don't want to just remove the point. I also wanted to remove the paths that connected and kind of intersect that in that point. So in this case, instead of just using the pen tool, I'm going to select that point and I'm going to use the delete key on my keyboard to delete not only the point but also the path. I'm going to do the same thing here, but here is kind of different. As you can see, this circle is not cut like in this quarter. It is a tiny bit, it has excessive part. So in order to have that and create this shape exactly, I need to play with this shape. I cannot just remove this part of the circle and have this part. So I need to add one point here. So I'm gonna grab the pen tool with P, or you're gonna grab it here, and I'm gonna add one point right here. Okay, so right now I can just remove this section of my circle with the delete key. Then I wanted to have this line. This line is also connected to this and then this. So let's grab the end point of the circle, hold the shift key and just leave it there. The reason that I'm hitting escape to kind of make the mouse free from the end point of this path. The reason that I'm not connecting these two together, because sometimes it gives you a kind of weird shape for the stroke. I just don't want these two shapes get connected yet. I'm gonna make them unified later. So I'm gonna grab this point that I just created and holding the shift key and put it right on top of the other one. So right now I'm almost there. So let's make this more visible. So I'm gonna increase the stroke to get the exact size of my logo. It seems pretty good. So I think we got it. Let's see. In my case, maybe this works much closer. So as you can see, this form is complete, but I need to remove this part here. So if I go to outline mode, you can see the whole design is just a line. The stroke is the representation of this shape. I want to create this line as a shape, so I wanted to turn my stroke to shape. the tools that you can use for this reason is going to object while you're selecting the shape that you want to create outline of out of their strokes. Go to object to path and select outline stroke. Let's see what happened. I'm gonna stroke all the it's gonna create shape out of all the stroke that we had here. If I go to outline mode, you can see that all became as a stroke. So right now I have my stroke, but there are two errors here. One of those errors is this part should be removed like very straight, and also these two shapes should be unified as a one single shape. So I need to merge these tools. First, let's merge these tools, these shapes together. In order to do so, I'm going to use a tool that is very, very useful called Pathfinder. Go to Window, Pathfinder. You can see this tool. Kind of, the icon is actually explaining what this tool gonna do. It's actually kind of modifying two shape or two element that is kind of overlap each other. So the first one is kind of merging these two. The second one removing the top one from the bottom one. The third one is kind of keeping the overlap and removing the excessive. And that one is kind of the reverse from the previous kind of tool that just remove the overlap and keep the excessive. We're going to talk about this a tiny bit later. So I'm going to merge these two shapes together. So I'm going to use this one. As you can see, the central line is gone, and these two shapes became one unified shape. So I'm going to close this. Let's go back to the regular mode, and I need to kind of create this cut here. So I'm going to use the simple shape. I know this should be cut from here. Let me change the color. So I'm going to create a rectangle, and I'm going to remove this rectangle from my main shape. So I have this rectangle here, and if I remove that, I have the exact same shape that I wanted to have for this logo. So I'm going to select both of those again, and I'm going to use the Pathfinder tool. But this time I'm not merging them. If I merge them, you see they are getting unified, and I don't want these things happen. So I wanted to remove this part, this element on the top from this shape. So this is very useful tool here that is remove the top elements from the bottom element underneath. So I'm gonna select this, and I got rid of that part. Very easy. So I'm almost there. I just wanted to copy this and with holding the Option key, and it looks very good. So let's bring it here. Put it here. I'm gonna make my artboard a tiny bit bigger and add some color. So in order to add color, as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3 colors. I have red, white, and maybe bluish or greenish tone here. But here I have two elements. So I can have 3 colors. So if I add this color, for instance, this one became reddish, and this one became bluish, greenish. As you can see, this doesn't seem right because we have the third color, and I cannot have that color here because I just have 2 shapes. In order to do so, I need to separate the overlap part in order to add one more color. Again, I'm going to use the Pathfinder tool. I'm going to select the both shape that I want to kind of manipulate their overlap. So I'm going to open the Pathfinder tool. One of the Pathfinder tool that is very useful here is this one. It's kind of dividing all the elements, the excessive parts and also overlap as a 3 separated elements. So I'm going to click on that, and nothing seems happened here. But if you go and double click, you can see it actually separated all the elements for me. So right now I can add separate colors to this design. So the things that I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna put some colors in here, but as you can see, all of them are on one unit or one group. So I'm gonna right click and ungroup them to make them individual selectable. So this one needs this color. So in order to add color to your design, or you want to reference the color from a reference image, you can use this tool. It's called eyedropper. Eyedropper pick the color from your reference and put it on your destination elements. So I wanted to pick this color, white color. I'm going to add it to here. You can grab the color and hold the Option key and just drop it. You're gonna, as you can see, it makes mistake and add a stroke to that. I'm gonna remove all the stroke at the end. No worry about that. So I'm gonna pick this color, put it here, here, and here. And I'm gonna grab this color and put it, I'm holding the Option key and put it here, here, and also here. The only thing that is excessive is the stroke. So I'm selecting the whole thing, go to stroke, remove the stroke. And here we go. We have, I'm gonna put a black screen on the underneath the whole thing so you can see the logo better. So here is the raster image on the left, and here or vector image. That, as you can see, I have it as a kind of vector. I hope you enjoy this tutorial. I'll see you later.